So, like a lot of us, I think, in this ME/CFS community, we are, in my experience, from what I've seen, some of the most well-informed, well-educated, and knowledgeable people around when it comes to our health and our happiness. So I, like probably many of you watching, really felt like I didn't have much else to learn in this department. I kind of thought I knew it all. My sleep ego, so to speak, was shattered when this book came along that people kept recommending. Thank you everyone who kept recommending it. The book's called Sleep Smarter by Shawn Stevenson. I'll link it in the video description. I highly encourage you to check it out if sleep is at all something that you are having issues with. I love it because it's packed full of research. So it's all scientifically based, it's all evidence-based strategies, and the book has 21 strategies for improving your sleep. And in reading this book, I realized that not only was there actually a lot of stuff that I, in fact, did not know, there was also things that I already did know and thought I was doing, but I really wasn't. I had gotten sloppy and had let some things sort of fall by the wayside. And if you had asked me prior to reading this book how my sleep hygiene was, I would have swore up and down that it was great. But the reality is that it was not. And there were signs of this that I was ignoring or making excuses for, because I've been a problem sleeper virtually my whole adult life. It became way worse with ME/CFS, but even once I recovered, it still wasn't amazing. And earlier this year, one of my New Year's resolutions was to start getting up every day at 5:30 because I love being up early. I feel so much more productive and just on top of my life, and I don't like being up late. I don't find I do anything really great with that time other than watch TV. So I set out to get up at 5:30 every day, and I stuck with it for 3 months. But no matter how early I went to bed, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't seem to get to sleep early enough to get enough sleep to be feeling good by 5:30. And for 3 full months, every day my alarm went off at 5:30 and I was just exhausted. But I stuck with it for that long because I'm stubborn, and when I make a plan, I really, really want to stick to it, and it's sometimes really hard for me to let go of things that aren't working. But eventually I had to admit defeat. I'm like, I thought maybe my body just isn't wired that way. I just can't do this. But since reading this book, now every single night, not even 4 out of 5 or 9 out of 10, every single night by 9:30, I am so exhausted that I feel like I took some kind of prescription sedative. And that good kind of exhausted that just comes on, fast and right at bedtime and is enough to just knock you out and put you to sleep. And I'm sleeping much more soundly throughout the night. And I wake up every morning between 5:30 and 6. I have my alarm set for 6. And almost always I wake up before my alarm even goes off. So I'm waking up naturally on my own, and I'm feeling so much better in the mornings. So this book has been worth its weight in gold. It has been such a game changer for me. It's one of those things that came along in my life and just propelled me to function at a whole new level. And I am just so, so grateful. So I'm going to share with you what I feel are some of the key takeaways from this book, especially with ME/CFS recovery. I've said this many times in many videos, but my motto was sleep at all costs. It was so important. I could see that I was never going to get past this if I wasn't getting good quality sleep virtually every night. My body needed that time to heal and repair and recover. My whole life, when we'd have these conversations, like if you could wish for one thing in life, you have that genie in a bottle, what would it be? And my answer is almost always that I would want to be a champion sleeper, because I've been so envious of people who can sleep well. And I see how much it helps your life. And now I am a champion sleeper. It's strange for me to even say with conviction, because for my whole life that has not been the case. But I sleep amazing now. So, really now, if I could just figure out a way to get thicker hair, I feel like all of my pleas to the universe will have been answered, because this is not all my hair. Anyways, moving on. Sleep smarter tips. So it turns out that sleep can make or break your ability to do many things, like lose weight, age slowly, prevent cancer, and perform just generally at a high level. That's because sleep regulates most hormone production. Sleep is a part of your circadian rhythm, meaning that it occurs under a repeatable 24-hour process and is determined by the light-dark cycle of your environment. Sleep is also actually when growth hormone is released so that your body can maintain and repair muscles and even do things like decrease belly fat. So as this book, Sleep Smarter, explains, your body actually does the vast majority of healing while you're asleep. Essentially, when it comes to recovering from chronic illness or just life in general, sleep is the secret sauce that we need to make everything come together. Basically, sleep rebuilds you and keeps you youthful. High quality sleep fortifies your immune system, balances your hormones, boosts your metabolism, increases your physical energy, and improves the function of your brain. Now, this next part here I found absolutely fascinating. Now, get this, when you're asleep, your brain cells are reduced in size by about 60% while you're asleep to make waste removal even more efficient. And because your brain is so active while you're awake, learning and developing and do all the things that help you to become awesome, it's continually building up a lot of byproducts that are mainly removed by the restorative power of sleep. And if the waste removal system in your home gets backed up, then things are going to get really nasty, really fast. So the same thing holds true if you're not sleeping well and your glymphatic system doesn't get to do its job in your brain. So to me, this suggests that at least some of the cognitive symptoms that many of us experience with ME/CFS might be a direct result of the reduced quality and amount of sleep that we're getting while we're facing this illness. So one of the pretty simple but really effective changes that I made since reading this book was as a result of my finally understanding that a good night's sleep actually starts the minute we wake up in the morning. You know, I used to pay attention to maybe those couple of hours before I went to bed, the things that I was doing, the kind of foods that I was eating and what I was drinking and so forth. But I really wasn't thinking about it as starting first thing in the morning every single day. Because humans have evolved with a predictable pattern of light and darkness that has always controlled our sleep cycles. So your sleep cycle, or your circadian timing system, is heavily impacted by the amount of sunlight that you receive during the day. Now, there are certain times of the day that your body is designed to release specific hormones. This circadian timing system, along with the scheduled release of hormones, helps to control your digestion, your immune system, blood pressure, fat utilization, appetite, and mental energy, among other things. Now, I've always, or at least for as long as I can remember, appreciated that getting out and getting sunlight was important when it came to sleep, plus for a whole host of other things. But I did not fully appreciate how the time of day that I was getting sunlight could have a dramatic impact on the quality of sleep that I was having at night. So one of the changes that I made after reading this book was to make a point of getting out first thing every morning to get some early morning sunlight. I now go out at 7:30 a.m. every single day for a 30-minute walk out in the sun. And even if it's cloudy, the book explains that your body is still getting what it needs through the clouds. Essentially, I had to help my body realize that it was fully time to wake up. I had to let it know first thing in the morning that it was fully morning, and so all the right hormones start firing and whatnot, all those things that need to happen in our body. And then so that by the end of the day, when it came time to go to bed, my body fully realized that it was now time to go to sleep, and that circadian timing system was now synced and on a good schedule, which is what allows me to now at 9:30 be dead tired and ready to pass out cold. The artificial environment that I've been spending most of my time in the morning, which is, you know, inside in my apartment, had been confusing the crap out of my body, and it really didn't know how to get itself on track. So sunlight, essentially, get more of it, and if possible, make sure it's first thing in the morning. And another thing this book cleared up for me is I used to think, hey, what about sunlight through windows? Is that good enough, or is that helping at all? And the book helped me to understand that getting sunlight through windows is definitely better than not getting any sunlight at all. But the sunlight that you get through a window, the benefits you get from it are not even close to what you'll get by actually going outside, because there are different wavelengths coming from the sun, and the one that is most helpful for our health, UVB, has short wavelengths, which don't make it through the window. And as this book explains, melatonin is really the star of the show when it comes to getting the sleep that we need every single night. And melatonin is secreted naturally in our body as it gets darker outside, but we can really mess up our natural melatonin production in our body if we aren't getting enough light exposure outside and at the right time of day. And I've always wondered about melatonin supplements, and this book explains that they can actually be quite harmful, and the book recommends not taking them because it is a hormone and it is messing up our body's own natural production of melatonin and changes the way which our body reacts to melatonin. So it can really do a lot of damage, and it's not supporting the recovery of our body to be taking melatonin supplements. We are better to do things to support our body's own ability to produce its own melatonin. And if you can't get outside for whatever reason, whether it's due to extremely harsh climate that you live in, I grew up in Canada, I get it, or if it's because you're just really unwell right now and going outside is just physically not possible for you. Another interesting thing I learned from this book is that those photo light therapy boxes that you can get, I actually had one when I first became unwell and I used it, but I never really knew for sure if they were helping, and I didn't know if there was any science to back them up or if this was just essentially snake oil. But it turns out that there is. There are studies that back up these phototherapy boxes and that they do in fact help. So if you're not able to get outside, sit by a window sometimes. And in addition to that, you can top it up with a phototherapy box and turn that on first thing in the morning to help reset your circadian rhythm. Another one we hear a lot is about our screen time in the evening. You're watching TV, being in front of our laptops, staring at our phones and our tablets. And this book drives home how cutting out screen time at night is likely the number one thing you can do to improve your sleep quality immediately. So computers, iPads, TVs, smartphones, and whatnot kick out a sleep-sucking blue spectrum of light that can give you major sleep problems. Because as human beings, we are literally not designed to stare into the type of light emanating from these devices. And just 2 hours of computer screen time or TV time before bed is enough to significantly suppress people's nighttime release of melatonin. And the book explains how there are some people who are, staring at screens at nighttime before bed, and then they go to bed and they get 8 hours of sleep. So they think that they're doing fine. But the studies have actually shown that the quality of those 8 hours of sleep is really not good. And those people are likely still waking up in the morning despite getting 8 hours of sleep, feeling exhausted and not as refreshed as they should be. So if you want to do everything you can to help your body get the sleep that it needs, make it a mandate for you in your life to turn off all screens at least 90 minutes before bed to allow your cortisol and melatonin production to normalize. Now, the book also talks about caffeine. And again, I think most of us recognize that caffeine has the ability to impact our sleep, but this book did teach me some things that I didn't know that helped me to regulate and plan my caffeine consumption accordingly. So caffeine is a powerful nervous system stimulant. If your nervous system is lit up like a Christmas tree, you can forget about getting high quality sleep. So what was interesting for me to learn is that caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 8 hours. So let's say 7 hours is the half-life for caffeine for the sake of this example. What that means is that 7 hours after consuming caffeine, half of it is still in your body. And then another 7 hours after that, a quarter of it is still in your body. So it really doesn't matter what time of day you're having caffeine during the day. It's still going to be in your system when you're trying to sleep at night and can be messing up the quality of sleep that you're getting. So for me, because I find that I am sensitive to caffeine, number one, I make my own coffee at home and I do it 1/4 regular and 3/4 decaf. And while I was recovering from chronic fatigue syndrome or ME/CFS, I didn't have caffeine at all. But now that I'm feeling healthy and strong, I have small amounts because I do enjoy my coffee in the morning. So 1/4 regular, 3/4 decaf, and I've made myself a coffee curfew that is a full 12 hours before my bedtime. So I want to be asleep at 9:30 at night, so I do not have coffee past 9:30 in the morning. But since I'm up now around 5:30, that actually gives me lots of time to enjoy some coffee when I first get up. Because when studies are done around this, many of the participants don't think that the caffeine is impacting their sleep at all, kind of like the screen time. But the monitors and the things that they've hooked up to them, assessing the quality of their sleep, show a different story. So even if you're sleeping through the night, when you've drank caffeine during the day, the quality of the sleep that you're getting might not be so good, and you might be waking up feeling pretty rough in the morning. Now, another one that has a big impact on our sleep is the temperature of our body. Something called thermoregulation heavily influences your body's sleep cycles. So, contrary to popular belief, your body temperature doesn't stay uniformly at 98.6 degrees or 37 degrees Celsius. That's just merely an average. Your body temperature cycles from about 1 degree below to 1 degree above this average over the course of the day. And when it's time for your body to rest, there is an automatic drop in your core body temperature to help initiate sleep. And if the temperature in your environment stays too high, then it can be a bit of a physiological challenge for your body to get into the ideal state for rested sleep. And studies have found the optimal room temperature for sleep is really quite cool, around 60 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. And if you have trouble falling asleep, try taking a hot bath about 1.5 to 2 hours before going to bed. Now, this may seem counterintuitive, but while your core temperature will increase from the bath, it will fall accordingly and level out a little cooler right around the time you turn in for the night. So hot baths before bed definitely help me loads with my ME/CFS recovery. I started doing them to help with the body aches and pains that I was experiencing while I was sleeping, but I definitely noticed that they also help me to fall asleep as well. Now, what time we go to bed and what time we get to sleep also matters. I used to think it was just get in your 8 hours. It doesn't really matter what time of night that's happening, but this book really helped me to appreciate that the time we fall asleep and the time of night that we're getting the sleep really impacts the quality and what's happening in our body and how much healing and rejuvenation and all that good stuff is going to happen while we're sleeping. It's been shown that human beings get the most beneficial hormonal secretions and recovery by sleeping during the hours of 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So this is the money time. You get the most rejuvenating effects during this period, and any sleep that you get in addition to that is just a nice bonus. So this is based on the seemingly lost realization that we humans are a part of nature. And when the lights go out on the planet, that's a cue from the universe that it's time for us to turn down as well. So melatonin and human growth hormone and more are secreted in their strongest doses when your sleep is lined up appropriately. So another reason that if you're getting a full night's sleep and you're waking up tired in the morning, it might be that you're going to bed too late. Now, this 10 p.m. bedtime isn't written in stone. Again, it's going to depend on what time zone you're in, where you live in the world, what time of year it is, and so forth. But generally, aiming to get to sleep earlier is going to help you get better quality sleep and give your body the chance that it needs to do everything that it needs to do to thrive. Now, another change that I made is that I started taking some magnesium supplements. Now, I generally am not personally a big fan of supplements. I haven't really found that they've been hugely helpful, and just generally I try and live my life getting everything that I need, from the earth, from the food I eat, and so forth. However, in reading this book, it helped me to appreciate that in our modern day world, at least in the US, studies show are magnesium deficient and that it is very difficult to get magnesium from natural sources currently. So the book recommends taking a topical magnesium supplement. They recommend specifically one called Ease Magnesium. So I purchased this one, I've been using it, and it does seem to help. Sometimes I get some aches and pains and some restlessness at night after I've done heavy workouts at the gym, and this seems to help with that. And the book also explains that magnesium supplements, which I didn't know, that are in pill form or capsule form, are poorly absorbed by the body, and to take as many as you would need to actually give yourself your body the benefits from it, because a side effect of them is that they are a natural laxative. So to take as many pills as you would need to, you'd have to spend the whole day in the bathroom. So what you need to do is take some sort of topical magnesium supplement. So I can link the Ease Magnesium in the video description if you're interested in checking it out. Also, another change I made is about how dark my room is. And this is one of those things that I kind of let slip, because how dark your room is has a huge impact on the quality of sleep that you're getting. So I purchased some blackout curtains and put them up in my room, and it has been really, really helpful. And they weren't even super expensive. I think the rod was $20 and the curtains were $40. So not a terribly large investment for what I'm getting out of it. Because having light sources of any type in your bedroom can disrupt your sleep patterns. And even using an eye mask is not going to be 100% effective for most people. Because I didn't realize until recently that our skin actually has receptors that pick up light. So studies show that exposure to room light during usual hours of sleep suppress melatonin levels by more than 50%. So the experts out there recommend that your room should be so dark that you can't see your hand in front of your face. And the last game changer from this book that I'll share, even though there are many, but I cannot cover them all, we would be here all day, but is how the Earth's electromagnetic surface affects our circadian rhythm and our ability to sleep well. Now, I imagine most of us have heard about earthing or grounding, getting direct contact with our body to the earth, how this is healthy and good for us, and it makes sense. I've been hearing this for years. I'm like, yeah, we evolved to live in environments where we would probably be walking around barefoot a lot of the time and have direct contact with plants and trees and all sorts of things. And now we are really removed. We wear shoes that typically are not conductors, so we are not picking up anything from the earth. We rarely touch the ground, we rarely touch a tree, and we rarely touch this source that creates every cell in our bodies. And scientists are discovering that this is having a huge impact on our health. Overwhelming research is mounting that shows the impressive benefits the Earth's electromagnetic surface has on the human body. We may not realize this, but the human body is highly conductive. So we, like the Earth, are running on electromagnetic energy, and our nervous system is like internal wiring that's transmitting information throughout our entire body. So bottom line, you may not be able to see it, but you are highly conductive, and the effects of this electron transfer are being researched rigorously, and the impact on things like sports performance and healing and overall health is shocking. So earthing accelerates tissue repair and wound healing from injuries that athletes encounter during practice and competition. So we get many benefits from directly connecting with the earth, just simply touching a tree or putting our bare feet in the grass. Not only does it help with healing, it helps to sync our circadian timing system, but it also helps to reduce inflammation. Now I've made it a part of my daily routine. So when I go for my 30-minute walk every morning, every time I go, I make a point of stopping and just touching some trees. I've become a literal tree hugger, and I sit down and I take my shoes off and I put my toes in the grass, and I do what I can to soak up a bit of all this goodness from the earth. And if you live someplace that's cold, but you can still get outside, you don't have to take your shoes off. You can just stop to touch some things, touch some trees, touch some parts of the earth with your bare hands, and you will get benefits. The research is showing that as little as 1 minute of this per day will give you health benefits. The bottom line is that the human body is brilliantly designed to utilize sleep to improve virtually every function in your body that you have. And there are so many ways that we've sort of fallen away with the natural way of living or taking care of our bodies, and we're not giving it the conditions that it evolved to thrive in, and that there are many things that we can do to turn this around and dramatically change the quality of the sleep that we're getting. So if you found this video at all interesting or helpful, or if sleep is something that you are struggling with, I cannot recommend this book, Sleep Smarter by Shawn Stevenson, enough. It really is just packed full of strategies and really useful information to help you turn your sleeping situation around. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, you might also like this one that's here on the screen that dives into some other things that I have recently learned that, had I known them sooner, I am positive would have dramatically sped up my ME CFS recovery. And thanks for watching. Whatever you're facing, whatever you're going through, hang in there, keep going. You've totally got this. I know health challenges and trying to overcome them can be incredibly trying, but just one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, one small change at a time. Just take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, be compassionate, keep at it, and you'll get there.